When we send our first graders off to class for the first time, we trust the school district will both take care of them and will teach them well.
But investigator Bob Norman discovered a case in one public school where just the opposite occurred with one child.
And it's even led to the removal of the principal there. Here's Bob's exclusive report.
This is a 6-year-old first grader at Oriole Elementary in Lauderdale Lakes.
Stop it. No!
But then the principal took a measure that's been called inexcusable and unacceptable, keeping him in the school's front office for weeks without teachers or structure. And that's where we found him when we visited the school Tuesday, in a room literally sucking his thumb. Why isn't he in a classroom? A secretary told us that the principal, LaFern McLean Cross, wasn't there to answer our questions.
Can you wait till she comes so you can ask her?
Sources inside the school tell me he's been in there for almost 6 weeks, since the beginning of April, with a plan to keep him there until June 9th, the last day of the school year.
How did he get missed? That's the question. How did he get missed?
Alicia Walford, chair of the school board's ESE Advisory Council, said such treatment is unacceptable and unfair to clerical staff put in a position for which they aren't trained.
Why are you following me?
Here you can see a hapless secretary being backed up against a wall by the boy.
That little boy is in anger. That clerical worker, she's getting frustrated. There's no solution there.
Walford said her own son, Zachary, went through much worse years ago after displaying similar behaviors.
We have a system of ESE for parents that we call like the tiger moms, who are going to go after and get what our kids need. And then there's everybody else, like this child, that falls through the cracks.
In this case, there's only a single dad who works every day to support his son.
The principal made a decision that was obviously not the right decision.
School board member Rosalind Osgood called the situation inexcusable. What should Principal Cross have done?
I think Principal Cross should have accessed the resources that we have in place.
So there are services for
Tons.
this child, and
There are.
And they're just not being used.
They're not being utilized or shared.
That all changed after our visit. We returned Wednesday and the child was no longer in the office. Our previous visit had sparked an investigation and the district's cavalry swooped in.
They've taken a whole team and was able to quickly get things in place to meet the needs of the student. One is somebody that's going to be ongoingly doing one-on-ones with this student.
Is Ms. Cross here today?
Yes, she's here.
We were told Principal Cross was in her office, but then the story changed.
She is not here.
She's not here.
Right.
Did she tell you to say that, or?
I went into her office and she's not here.
Sources said she left through a side door and didn't return for the rest of the day.
I know that she's been trained and I know that there's an investigation.
Friday morning, Broward Superintendent Robert Runcie took action, removing Cross as principal of the school, pending the investigation.
That little boy will be successful in a general education classroom with the right supports.
Halford says she knows this is possible because Zachary, after finally getting the resources he needed, is now an honor student.
We have to hold people accountable. We have to hold the ugly things to the light, which you're doing now. But then remember, there is a solution. There's always a solution.
In Lauderdale Lakes, Bob Norman, Local 10 News.
Okay, Bob, thank you. School spokeswoman Tracy Clark said the district is now evaluating the best place for that first grader to get back to learning, including the possibility of placement in a so-called center school equipped to handle children with behavioral issues.